But they don't look like me. They don't talk like me. But they don't look like me. And they don't talk like me. But they don't look like me. And they don't talk like me.
Welcome back to a sequel of a sequel. During the break, Pat and I sat down, jumped on the computer, and tore into the history of Captain America.
Yeah, I just wanted to follow up. Felt bad that couldn't recall exactly what had happened with Captain America's rebirth, but just wanted to look it up and be 100% sure. Previously, I said it was something along the lines of hibernation, a hibernated state, and that's kind of close. The weapon that was used was furnished by Dr. Doom, who was working with the Red Skull, and the weapon froze him within space and time. That is a direct quote. So that was kind of their angle. He wasn't truly dead to begin with, I suppose.
God, there's always a way out of it.
Well, that's the beauty. When it's... The technology is literally limitless when it comes to science fiction, adventure,
Okay,
action,
I wish I was
fantasy.
a comic book character. That way I could just fake my death as many times as I wanted to get out of, like, IRS payments or something. And, I don't know. Oh, hey, I can't be there for your baby shower. I'm going to commit suicide, then come back. Oh, wait, it was hibernation.
Wow, you really hate babies? You would fake a suicide just to get out of a baby shower?
Maybe my sisters.
I beg to differ. I see the baby shower as a great opportunity. You got single girls there who are absolutely jealous and so sad that their friends are getting married and having babies that, I gotta be honest, it's like hunting, it's like fishing with dynamite, okay? These girls are primed and ready to be taken. So, but that's just me. Different philosophy, different approach. It's all good though.
That is kind of creepy.
Kind of creepy or genius?
You know what I like to do? I like to sit down and take pictures of, like, folded laundry and then text them. Because apparently that's what gets women off. Like,
yeah.
I just read an entire article in the Seattle Times about it, which my mom actually sent me.
Oh, this is for real?
Yeah.
Oh, okay. I thought you were just messing with me. I was going to stay with the bit, but no, okay, that's actually legitimate?
Yeah.
Oh.
Apparently that's... And I hope that our female listeners, that's not what turns you on. I want you to have, like, cosplay fetishes.
Yes.
Yes.
Power Girl.
I would go with, like, some Naruto characters or something, but, whatever. I like pink hair.
Or Emma Frost.
Now you're talking.
Now
All
we're
right.
talking. But yeah, I just wanted to clear that up. Felt bad for stumbling over that in our last segment in regards to
And
Captain America, but now...
Speaking of Emma Frost...
Speaking of Emma Frost indeed, we call that a transition in the business.
We do.
We do. We're going to take that and move along to an X-Men First Class review.
Da-da-da!
So...
You know what? Earlier this week, Pat and I went and saw the 3:45 showing of X-Men First Class, and you know what? I loved it.
Phenomenal.
I thought,
Great film.
And I'll definitely tell you when a movie sucks.
Yeah.
Because I will complain about it for, like, the next 2 weeks after seeing it. Kind of like you did with Daredevil.
Quick interjection again before we get too far into it. Spoiler alert, we are going to be talking about things that happen in the X-Men First Class movie. So if you don't want it ruined for you, skip ahead to maybe the last minute or just wait until after you've seen the film to come back and check out this one again. Don't want to ruin the film for anyone, but yeah, it's always hard in the moment too because you get your expectations and excitement built up so high so that sometimes with these movies I have to make sure I go back and rewatch the film 4 or 5 months later when I'm a little more removed from it and watch it again. And I think X-Men First Class will hold up upon a second viewing because I thoroughly enjoyed it on Friday when we saw it.
It was a historical film. I mean, they followed around the time of World War II. They covered the events of the Cuban Missile Crisis.
Yeah.
Pro-rights of the 1960s. Just the look and the feel of this movie, you can really tell that they took the time to do their casting correctly, that they figured out the timelines perfectly.
Yeah, the retro feel was great. In terms of, like, the costuming for, like, 1960s, both American and Russian troops, and just people in general and their daily lives, and even the costumes themselves that the heroes wore reflected the era. So it was a time appropriate.
You know, the costumes that the X-Men wore in the first class is actually an ode to the original comic book version.
Yes, a very simple kind of
and
dark
it wasn't
blue
until
and yellow.
way later that they ended up getting like the black leather spandex suits.
Yeah.
Now,
So
we've grown to love on certain characters.
no, I mean, kind of a phrase I've kind of heard tossed around is this one feels like a really good Bond film, but with mutants.
I'll agree to that. Yeah.
Yeah, just kind of that feel of like a lot of spy stuff in the 60s and Russia and America, war, end of the world, big nukes, and just kind of that whole vibe and feel. That was fun.
Yeah.
I really like the cast. I really like the guy that played Magneto. His name is Michael Fassbender. He's been in some other films previously, but I thought he had a great tone as Magneto, kind of showing the struggle of the character.
What did you think of Kevin Bacon as Sebastian Shaw?
I thought he was fine. I didn't love him as Shaw in that movie, but I didn't hate him. He didn't ruin the film for me. I thought he was okay. It's fine.
You know, I had that sort of same feeling towards January Jones as the White Queen. Yeah, she looked like the White Queen, but as far as, speech and personality and attitude, that just wasn't her. That isn't the White Queen that we've all come to know and love.
Yeah, her performance, she looked phenomenal. Whew. No doubt about the physical looks. I was distracted at moments, if to say the least, but this is going to sound like a terrible pun, but her performance felt kind of cold. It's an absolutely god-awful pun, and it's completely unintended, but I was just searching my brain here, and I couldn't think of a better way to describe it. It felt a little cold. She didn't seem into it. If you kind of feeling me what I'm going for here? She seemed a little just...
I know she was
just there.
I know she's supposed to be, again, pardon the pun,
I know,
a
it's
cold,
terrible.
hard bitch, but...
How bad do you feel about these puns right now? I feel terrible.
We agreed not to make too many of those per episode.
I think we met our quota. We got you got 5 tally down there? Okay, we're good. We've met our quota. That's how we keep our sponsorship. But yeah, I thought would have been nice to see, and of course in films, time elapses a lot quicker, but it felt like I thought they definitely did show the Eric and Charles relationship well. Eric's very lost, and he's very, very militant, and he's all about revenge and personal gain, and then he meets Charles, and Charles kind of helps him to reconcile some of that and become a better person, and we see him improving and making better choices and being a better guy, but ultimately you still see glimpses of his true nature up until the ultimate breaking point when he finally sees Shaw and he loses it, and then of course with the Americans and the Russians then attacking the mutants, that sends Eric over the edge, and he is truly Magneto.
I feel like you almost needed more time in between the segments. Like, I don't feel that Magneto and Xavier had enough time to really concrete that bond. I mean, the entire time that they've known each other, from the time that Xavier saves Magneto to the time where they have their big splitting and Charles, ends up in a wheelchair, it takes over the period of like 2 months.
Yeah, and like it's in film, time is just going to lapse that much quicker, so it's going to be a little bit harder to do. But I mean, the moment where Eric is trying to move that big like satellite thing and he can't, and Charles helps him and finds that memory of his parents. Like, I thought that they were becoming friends at that point. I thought that sealed it to me. That was like, that's the moment right there. They have truly bonded over this powerful moment. And so
I kind of felt like there needed to be some more blending time.
More blending time?
Yeah, like, imagine like a graph going up, then it kind of like spikes up, really, really steep. Like, there needs to be more of that gradual increase as far as the relationship goes.
Well, I mean, more is always better, I think, in that case. But I think there was like they first meet and they don't get along right away. At first, it's a little uneasy, and then it gets good, and then pretty bad.
Gets better.
Bad. But I mean, if they did a sequel, they don't necessarily have to be truly like the Brotherhood, like fighting the X-Men. Like, they could kind of have an uneasy transition period where they're still like, we still know each other, and you're my friends sort of, but we have different views now, and we're really split off. Like, if they do it in a second film, you can make it kind of still some gray areas there, I think. If you do a sequel.
Okay. How did you feel about Darwin?
Didn't get enough of Darwin. His time in the film was fairly brief, I thought. And
you know, I always thought he was like a great character.
To be honest, I didn't know about him until this film, so
really? I didn't. Well, he's definitely one of the younger X-Men. He hasn't been around for very long, and basically what happens in the comic book is he's getting bullied because he's like this bald kid. He just can't grow hair for whatever reason. And these bullies are swirling him. You know, they're sticking his head in the toilet, and he suddenly grows gills. And then that's the first time he realizes that he's a mutant.
Yeah,
and
he's a cool mutant with some cool powers. He could still show up in the next one.
His powers allow him to do that.
Yeah, so I mean, overall, did the film follow the exact X-Men comics to a T? No, it didn't. But with the X-Men, that's such a hard one to do because there's been so many different incarnations and different books and characters coming and going. It's not like it's Spider-Man, you know, he's a loner, he's been by himself, or Fantastic Four, it's that core group, or some of the other ones. I mean, the X-Men is huge, and I thought cinematically the way they did this film fit in great with the continuity that they had established in the 3 main films already done. So I thought it was successful in that regard.
I can't believe they're Star Warsing it.
They're
they did like the second half first.
Yeah, but they don't have George Lucas writing, which is huge. Do not let George Lucas near a pen or a keypad.
You know, early
He's a
stuff,
dangerous
maybe.
man.
Young Lucas.
Yeah, young Lucas. But it's sitting at an 87% on Rotten Tomatoes, so 56 million opening weekend is kind of eh. I mean, what do you think that's... Wolverine Origins pulled an 85 opening weekend. What do you think that says about the impact of Wolverine on the franchise?
He's in the freaking movie. He it's a cameo.
It's a cameo, but he's not really in the film. I mean, come on, he's not a key contributor to this
He's just there to
film.
tell everyone to F off.
Yeah, I mean, there's a scene where Charles and Eric are going to look for other mutants, and they come across Logan, and he says, "Screw you guys."
Yeah. Well, speaking of superheroes, it's our time of the week to do heroes and villains.
Definitely. My hero of the week is Dan Ditto, who's a co-publisher at DC Comics, and all the other guys at DC. We'll be talking about this more, but essentially, DC is rebooting the franchise. They're starting over. Everything is going back to issue 1, new origins, new costumes, everything for the entire line of their characters starting later this year. I think it's a smart move. These characters have been on 50 years. All that continuity doesn't mean the other stories weren't good and fun, and they still exist, but it's time. It's 2011.
Let's hit the reset button.
Let's hit the reset button. Marvel wanted the best of both. They just started a whole new universe, but DC's going big. They're like, this is our universe. So it's an interesting move. I like it though.
Okay.
We want to talk about it more later on, for sure.
Would you like to know who my villain is?
Who is your villain of the week?
Sony PlayStation.
Oh.
You know, not too long ago, Sony got into this big heated battle where their PlayStation Network went down, and they named the hacking group Anonymous as the cause, as the reason. This doesn't really fit their MO, if you will.
It doesn't sound like it from what you've told me about this group.
I mean, Anonymous is all about, you know, freedom of speech, freedom of information, unrestricted internet. But the hackers that took down the PlayStation Network were all about stealing information. And Anonymous isn't thieves. And lately, they just haven't been treating their customers very well. They offered their the affected victims.
Seems like there's more to this Sony story than we're finding out right now.
You know what? Get online, look at it. Sony is, you know, not being the most gracious of hosts lately. Yeah. Anyway.
Check us out on the Twitter, Facebook, YouTube. Thanks for tuning in. This is episode 6. Next week, we'll have episode 7 and a special podcast for the Green Lantern film. Check it out. Thanks again.
See ya.
The Connection.